Hey runners, Coach Holly here. We're talking about why squatting is the best tool you can put in your toolbox as a runner. Whether you are brand new to training or you're a diehard runner that's simply never gotten in the gym, I'm gonna give you a full progression for squatting, how you can begin doing this safely, and I'll help you understand that squatting will not bulk you up or make you too heavy to be successful in your running. Let's jump in right now. First thing to understand is that running itself is actually a series of single leg squats. No, they're not full depth, and no, you don't have a barbell on your back for them, but you are supporting your body weight over thousands of steps in any one run, sometimes tens of thousands of steps. So if you're not creating that cross training, that extra layer of stability and strength in the hips, glutes, and hamstrings, what happens is your position breaks down sooner, which leads to other issues. The shin splints, the knee issues, runner's knee, IT band syndrome, all those things start to flare up when the hip position can't stay stable over the whole period of the run and of course across weeks of training. Now, the single leg squats when you run look like this. You're basically transferring from one foot to the next over time. That's all that running is. Now, this single leg, even for just a second or half a second, is supporting all of your body weight on it before it transfers. From the side, you're gonna see I'm not actually rocking side to side when I run. Ideally, I keep the legs right under me, the feet right under me, but the hips are responsible for creating that shock absorption. So at the beginning, things might look nice and smooth. My hips aren't really rocking or tilting side to side. I'm able to keep that knee right under the hip. As I get tired, if I don't have a second line of defensive strength here, and I don't know how to support more than my body weight perhaps, all that happens is I start to dip my hips. I sit into that hip position. I go like this, and all of a sudden the knee, to compensate, caves in. That creates a whole world of problems for my ankle, my shins, even my feet. So if I can't support that single leg position over time, come the second half of my run or the very end of a race, I create those problems. So all that you're going to be doing with this squatting routine or incorporating squats into your training is creating extra stability through the hips so that that dip and the sitting doesn't happen at any point during the run. And the second piece of building that squat strength beyond stabilization is to actually make it so your glutes, hamstrings, and hips are taking over most of the work when you run. The best run form happens when you're able to push the hips forward, engage those glutes, and use those to do the running versus leaving the hips behind you, making the low back take over and maybe the hamstrings overwork. So what that looks like is if I don't push the hips forward when I run, I end up kind of seated back here. Over time, belly dumps out, I can't support with my core, my back takes over, it has to hold my upper body up more, versus if I push the hips forward, squeeze, engage here, I can keep my steps nice and light right under me, relax. I'm gonna be the most upright I can be. My glutes will last a lot longer, my hips will last a lot longer than anything else will, including that low back. So the more we're able to stabilize those hips and push them forward to engage the right muscles to run, the better off we will be. So let's finally get into some squatting. The very first thing in the progression is going to be learning how to do an air squat. This can start as basic as sitting down on your couch and standing back up and understanding the mechanics of that. So I know normally we just plop on the couch, we don't even think about it, but we are gonna use the couch or whatever you have. I have a bench that's about 2 feet off the ground to practice the air squat mechanics with that safe space to land before we understand exactly how to do it in the air. So I'm gonna use this platform here. I'm gonna start with my hips, or my feet hips width distance apart with my toes straight forward. They can slightly be out if you need to, but try your best to keep them forward. You're gonna understand that it gets you more stable and screwed into the ground to keep them forward because we use that external rotation to create stability in the hips. That'll make more sense in a second. So I'm gonna reach my hips back towards the platform. I'm gonna keep my chest up and I'm gonna keep my core stable by just drawing the belly button into the spine, just a little bit here. It's not that you can't breathe or you're like suffocating here, you're just drawing it in to get a little extra spinal stability, which once you add weight will be absolutely crucial. So feet right here, we reach the hips back, arms out in front. I'm just gonna reach till I sit down. From here, I'm gonna think about 2 imaginary walls on either side of my knees, pressing those knees in here while keeping the feet straight, and I come up the same way. I reach the hips back, lay over the legs. Right as I'm halfway up, I push the hips forward, big squeeze of the butt like you're pinching a piece of paper back here to stand. That's the top. So I reach it back again, sit, regroup, press it out, and up. That is how you do it down to the platform. We're gonna try one more now where we just lightly tap the platform, come right back up. So I'm gonna come down, come down, come down, little tap, and push up. This is basically the air squat. So without that thing there to sit on, without that little break in between, you are supporting your body weight from the very top all the way to the parallel position, because of course we want the hips to go all the way down in parallel at least, and then you stand it up. Arms out in front of you, that's a good way to do it. You can do hands behind the head. You can do hands on the hips if you want. I feel that keeping it out in front of me feels the most stable. If that is not working for you, you feel still very uncomfortable, hold a little weighted object out in front of you. It will counterbalance the hips going back and make you feel a little bit more in control of your positioning. Okay, so we've gotten some reps on that platform or that couch, whatever you have. We're gonna ditch that now, get it out of the way, and we're gonna try this in space. So, the exact same mechanics you used before, you're just now going to be supporting that middle position like I said. So no place to land, you're gonna keep nice and strong throughout. I'm gonna show you from the side here. Feet are forward, knees are gonna press out. What that does, we get that screwed in rotation I was talking about before. Basically, you create that extra little glue to the ground, which allows the hips to externally rotate just a little bit and gives you the strongest position to land and come back up from. Again, with weight, that'll feel even more obvious to you. So I stand right here, I'm gonna squeeze the butt to start, arms will be out in front of me, and I will just lower, reaching those hips back, and then standing it up. We wanna hit that parallel position. I'm a little guilty of not quite getting there all the time. If you have a friend with you doing these strength workouts, make sure they're looking for that. But you wanna hit that parallel position, and you wanna make sure that you are squeezing to the top, squeezing all the way to the top with the hips. So I reach it down and up. Never letting the knees go past the toes. That's the dangerous thing. If you add weight to that and you're here, all of a sudden the knees are doing way more than they need to be doing, especially the joints, even the ankles and shins. What you want is that reach back with the hips. Squeeze up. When you reach it back, you keep those shins nice and vertical as much as you can with the chest up, and stand. This is the air squat. Like I said, you can do hands behind the head, you can keep them on the hips, whatever it is that's most comfortable for you. But this is the basic squat mechanics. This is gonna work plenty for you in your training. You can use air squats for part of your warm-up or cool down, or it can be part of a circuit workout. Of course, there's no weight yet that we're adding, but now you understand the mechanics of how to squat. Next up in the progression is gonna be the overhead squat. At its hardest, with the most weight, it is incredibly challenging for a lot of folks. This asks you to get a lot more range of motion in the upper body. You're gonna have an overhead position with the arms, and you're gonna have to do the exact same squat mechanics you did on the air squat. So full range to that parallel position, you stand all the way up, but now you've gotta hold something overhead, even just your arms, keep that chest up, and of course use the core to stabilize throughout. So it's a lot going on this position, and if you lack range of motion in the upper body, this one is gonna be killer at first. But what it does is challenge you to open up those shoulders, which then would give you a bigger arm swing when you run, which of course makes your running more efficient and more powerful. So all those things together, this is definitely worth adding in your repertoire. We are gonna do it without weight today, but of course you can add weight to this as you become more advanced. So I do have a weightless bar that we're gonna use, but at first we're gonna drop that on the ground. I'm gonna have you guys just practice overhead arms while you squat. So I had them out in front before, or the hips, or behind the head, whatever. Now I'm gonna ask you to keep the same squat going, but we're gonna raise those arms overhead. Palms will face each other. That rotates the shoulder externally again, just like I was talking about with the hips when we screwed those knees out. It's the same exact thing going on. It's the safest for the shoulder, and it is gonna be the same way we move with the arm swing when we run. So palms are facing each other here. We're gonna keep that belly button drawn in. I'm gonna reach the hips back, still keeping the chest up, and I stand. Already, if you guys tried that one, you can feel the back working harder. Not in the way that it was overstraining, overworking. Now we're actually just asking for more strength from it, more support and stability. You draw that belly button in, and stand it up, squeeze, down, squeeze. What I see the most with this one is dumping out the back, arching to kind of compensate. And then all of a sudden, we're not using the abs anymore to keep us nice and strong and straight through this. So you want to keep everything drawn in, so you're still leaning forward, but with a flat back and the arms reaching back. I think of just overhead as much as I can. Here, Now, the next thing we can do is add something to actually hold on to overhead. This can be as simple as a long sleeve t-shirt that you just hold straight across the head. I will be using this weightless training bar. If you have a PVC pipe, broomstick, any of those things are good. Again, it just helps you feel that external rotation and gives you something to really hold on to from start to finish. So I raise this overhead, nice straight arms here. The wider your hands are, the easier it is to hold overhead. So if you have no range of motion in the upper body, you're gonna wanna go wide hands. If you have a lot, you can go more narrow. So hold it up here. Same thing, reach the hips back and squeeze it to the top. Keeping that chest tall, keeping those eyes on the horizon line is a good idea. From the front looks like this. Up, up. You can see I almost push my hands behind me to reach the head through. That's the way that I get that weight right overhead. So when I do add weight to this, I feel most strong because it's standing right over my hips and glutes. When the weight wavers in front or behind you, if you've ever done a weighted overhead squat, you know how crazy uncontrolled it can feel. So the whole point of that is negotiating weight with a locked out position, down and up. We have finally made it to the back squat. Here we are at the rack with the barbell. You've probably seen this before, even if you've never done it. This is the real squat. This is the weighted squat. The same exact mechanics you used on the other ones you're gonna do here, but now your core, your glutes, your hips, everything have to keep really, really stable to get you to the bottom of the squat and all the way up to standing over multiple reps. No, we don't have to go heavy on this by any means, I'm not telling you that, but in order to actually build that strength, break the muscle fibers down and build them back up stronger, we have to lift a little bit of weight. That is crucial, and it does not mean you're gonna get bulky, it just means you're gonna get that extra layer of strength to again support you throughout your run so that the endurance of your musculature and of your position does not break down. That is the goal. So we're gonna do this without weight to start. I'm gonna show you how to get under a bar, stand it up, walk it out of the rack, and then get into some squats. So as far as setup goes, I like to have the bar set about chest level because you will be getting under it. You're gonna need a little squat to get it off the rack so you can stand it up and back it up. And you don't want it so high that you don't have any room to squat and pull it off the rack. That'll make more sense when you try it. So the knurl is the rough part on the barbell. You're gonna be a thumbs width out about, that's what I like to start with. So the smooth part starts here. I just put the edge of my thumb on there. I go about out there, and then I'll start there. If you want to adjust your hand position, that's fine. You just want to feel the most supported under that bar. So, like I said, I have it about chest level. This one's a little bit lower, but that's okay. I am going to walk my feet under, find a small spot here. So I'm my strongest to lift the weight. I now push the glutes forward. I stand it up and take 1, 2 steps back. So about a foot back, and now I'm ready to squat. I'm going to keep my elbows forward, pushed forward. Otherwise, I'm dumping this weight forward and it's rounding all the way, and I want to keep a nice straight back position because I will be folded over just like I did in the air squat. From here, my feet are straight ahead, just the same thing we did on the air squat. You're going to reach the hips back, chest up a little, and belly button pull into the spine. I squat it down. From here, I drive out of the heels and push it up. Reaching it back, pushing it up. I'm still pressing those knees out. Now I've got a little bit of weight under, so I understand how important that is to really screw the feet into the ground. And one more time, I go down and up. Those elbows are always dropping as much down as you can get them. Again, requires some external rotation of shoulders. To bring it back in, I go step 1, 2, and then a small squat, keeping my head down till I feel it on the rack. I step out and safely stand. That is how to get down under the bar and then back out safely. So of course we can add weight now. We can start to slowly build up. This will completely depend on what your workout is, how many reps, how many sets, how long the breaks are in between. But as you start to squat heavier, you'll realize you do need more recovery time in between. This is not usually a how fast, how many can you get done. It's how many quality reps can you get done with adequate rest so that you're actually building up in weight, increasing the load on your body to build that strength through everything. You'll already feel how much work the core has to do and the glutes have to do to keep you stable from the top of the squat down to the bottom. So I could throw some 10s on to start and then slowly build from there. If you are getting into those heavy squats, there's all this protocol around spotting each other and making sure somebody can be there if you can't stand it up. Don't worry about that right now. You just need to understand that these are the most challenging of all the squats. As you can probably tell, the benefits far outweigh the costs when it comes to squatting. Getting the squats in 1 to 2 times a week is gonna be key in taking load off of the knees, off of those little muscles, tendons, joints that feel achy and naggy all the time. Gonna put the work and the strength into the hips, into the glutes to keep you stable and strong through any distance run. Very key to do that. If you are concerned about bulking up or getting a body type you didn't want, maybe slowing down as a runner, just know that it would take a lot of additional calories and heavy lifting multiple times a week to make those changes in your body type. So if you are going after those super heavy squats regularly and you're eating more, yes, your body type might change. Maybe you'll add that muscle density and maybe slow down as a result. But the key of this entire video is to get you less injured and stronger in your run form and efficiency. So you don't have to go super heavy on those squats, but to do the mechanics of it regularly will serve you. If you don't know where to start as far as workouts go, lots of ideas here on the channel. I'll put a video right over there that Kirk did on squats and lunges. But if you want a full training plan to add to your current running routine and you don't know where to start, click down in the description. We have a running strength program that we designed just for you guys. If you're already running and you've got that part dialed in, but you need to know where to start on the strength work, that's what we did for you. We put everything laid out. All the squats are in there, push-ups, burpees, everything you could want. I will see you guys another day.